morning. Good morning.
Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. Every color of day. Whirling around at night. I'm playing this music so the young girls will come out to meet the monster tonight. Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. I don't want to know about wrong or right. I don't want to know. I'm anywhere tonight. Tropical hot dog night.
Well, there goes the neighborhood. Good morning, everybody. Here on this Saturday morning, it is October 11th, 2013. Oh, and there I go with my first mistake of the morning. No, it's 2014. Yes, Saturday morning, very foggy out there if you look at the weather. Kind of chilly and crisp. It's going to be in the low 40s for a bit before popping back up, I think, into the high 50s, maybe low 60s later in the day, which is good because there is a football game that's going to be happening, or, imminently at like 12:30 over at Nottingham Field, or 1:30. And so let me explain a bunch of things about this particular episode, and it especially stinks that I got here a little late because it's going to be a somewhat shorter show than usual. We have to because I've got to get out of here earlier than usual because here at the university, it's kind of faculty and student and everything appreciation Saturday. They're doing all these things now to keep people on campus over the weekends. So one of the things was, like last week, they had official homecoming. And that's the big one. That's where all the parents come from out of town, and they stay over for the weekend, and they see how the kids are doing in their dorms and how they're getting along. And so, of course, they have the homecoming football game. That's the big deal. And I think they even have a bonfire and perhaps a lynching or two. But mostly it's just about getting the parents in and showing them the campus, showing that most of the kids are doing reasonably well and adjusting and not jumping out of windows and such. So, yeah, they've got a football game then. And then a week later, for some reason, and it's kind of nice, they invite faculty, and presumably some students too, to enjoy another big game. Not the homecoming game, but just sort of an appreciation game. And there's tailgating, and there's free food, and I think there's even light beer, which always kind of surprised me in the context of a university that there would be official drinking allowed. But who would come to a football game if there wasn't beer, quite honestly? So they've got that. And friends of ours are having a little tailgating thing of their own behind the stadium. Like, that sounds so seedy. It says, we're having a tailgate. There's going to be weed, and we'll have mushrooms and girls and possibly a horse or two. No, it's just, more food, probably somebody grilling stuff, which is like yay. Probably beer, which is double yay. So I'm going to go with that, and it's starting around noonish. Well, generally we do this radio program from 11 a.m. No. My second mistake of the morning. From 9 a.m. until noon, Mountain Time, here at the University of Northern Colorado. So rather than me stay here until noon and then have to wrap up and grab the archives and everything, I'm going to try and finish up before 11:30, which will give me time to do to get to the game and get some food in my system, some nasty, nasty food. I've been trying to eat better for the past few weeks to lose a little weight and to just be a little healthier. The weight part has worked a bit, but the healthy part, I've been sick twice since I've been eating better. I've spent like 2 weeks out of the last 7 or 8 weeks with a bad head cold, which I'm finally getting over. The second one the past day or so. But I always thought, by eating better, by not eating as much sugar, by not drinking as much crappy soda and liquid, and trying to cut down my portions, and blah, 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 I would be a much healthier... No, don't work. Don't work. I'm a sick old man. So I will have, and gladly, a frankfurter, a hot dog, a hamburger today, with a bun, with a lot of ketchup, and mustard and crap on it, and, potato chips if they have them, and pretzels and beer and everything that's completely wrong for me that I don't miss. I honestly don't miss that much, but sometimes it's nice. And when it's nice and fresh on a grill and somebody hands it to you and it's free, well, it doesn't get nicer than that, folks. What would be nice is if the football team won today. That would be sweet. That'd be good. And it'll probably be a little more crowded than people expected at the game over in Nottingham Field this afternoon, mainly because they won last week, which was a big, big game, I think, for the coach. Not that our football team is going to go anywhere. What happened was our team is the UNC Bears. The Bears is our big logo and mascot and all of that. So the Bears were doing very well about 15 to 20 years ago. They made division champ once or twice. And so somebody had the bright idea to move them into a higher and better division because we were ready. Huge mistake. And just slid down for a bunch of years. I was just reading about this week. We had incidents of violence or near violence on the team involving somebody almost being stabbed and crap. And ugh. So that's over with. Those days, thank God, are gone. But the days of winning are also gone for this football team. So we've had, since I've been here, in the past 5 years, a couple of 500 ball clubs. You know, the ones that go 6-5 or 5-6. They play about 11 or 12 games over the course of a short fall season. So they were ramping up and they were getting better. And then last year, man, something happened. It was supposed to be a really good year. Maybe not playoff worthy quite, but they've had all these veterans. They worked together for a while. They had a pretty good quarterback, etc., and so forth. Well, he got injured briefly during one game, sat out the next game, and then when he came back, wasn't quite the same. The team wasn't quite the same, and they ended up going 1-11 or 1-10. I mean, it's just like bleh. I think they won maybe the first or second game of the season, and that was it, which was this tremendous disappointment because not that this is a big football school, but it's nice when your team wins. You feel good, and the alumni feel good about it. They give more money, etc. I think it's really hilarious that we pay relatively so much attention to the football team, even though this isn't a football school, and yet the football team loses tens of thousands of dollars every year. It's not like this big moneymaker, and that's why we throw X, Y, and Z at it and have these big tailgating parties and invite the alumni and stuff. It's a money loser. They're hoping if they win at some point, they'll turn it around. But that always shocked me. I mean, I figure in other schools, money will be going to the football coach and the women's basketball coach and new courts and new nets and new track and run fields instead of new chemistry labs or smart classrooms or giving raises to teachers in other disciplines like English, hint, hint, because, well, the team's bringing in millions of dollars. The alumni pay this, and with the TV rights and the radio rights pay that. Well, not with our teams. No, but it was fun a couple of seasons ago when you started seeing our men's basketball team on one of the ESPN channels. It wasn't the main ESPN. It wasn't like, ESPN itself, but more like ESPN 14-2. It was up on the higher rankings of the dial, like channel 416 on Xfinity. But still, you put on the TV, and there was the school gym, man. And there were like a couple of students that my wife had taught and I've seen around campus, and teachers and people in the stands. And I was like, oh my God, that's our team. We're on TV. That collective we thing, which is actually nonsense. But still, we're on TV. Cool. So, I digress. The football team did last year 1-11. So this year was the big tell year, the year of figuring out, okay, what do we really have as far as this football team and this coach, Ernie Collins, because this would be the first year when it's all his kids. He's now been here long enough that there's no more grandfathered in players, no more veterans from the previous coach who might not like him or who grew up learning different playbooks and had to start relearning everything. No. Now he's been here long enough so that from freshman on, everybody connected to this team would be under his tutelage, would have been one of his picks. So it was, again, rather disappointing that after winning the first game, the team went ahead and lost the next 3. Close games, except for the last one, that was like, wow. So we felt already, okay. Supposedly, like an exciting year, people that the coach wants, and it didn't happen, or what isn't happening. Nobody's expecting playoffs. Nobody's expecting to vault out of the big sky into a different tournament. There's just people expecting, like, okay, maybe we can go, instead of 1-10 or 1-11, maybe the team can go 5-6. It'd be a step up. 6-5. Ooh, 7-4, just missing the playoffs. That would be so breathtaking here at UNC at this point. So when they started the season 1-3, everybody was like, oh, come on, please. Well, homecoming game last week. The idea behind homecoming games, to be quite honest, is that you want to look good. Your team, your home team, this is when the alumni come back. This is when the parents come back. People stroll through the halls where they took gym class and they took anthro and archaeology and criminal justice and Spanish and French and back in the day Latin, what have you. Back in the day there was still ancient Rome was still here back in the day. The school is that old. Anywho, so you want to win that game, or at least play really hard and look good. And so you usually try and get an easier team to play, a team that you should, on a given day, beat rather handily. And I know last year that didn't happen. It was that kind of year. But this year, the UNC Bears came back and managed it. They won last week. So there's a little bit, I wouldn't say of momentum, but a little bit of, aha, okay, we can win a game. We can group it back together. We can beat a team that's worse than our team is, and we're home again. And it's a special day, so maybe, again, we've got another team that hopefully we can go toe-to-toe with. I think the, what's his name, Mastari in the Greeley Tribune was writing that Greeley's getting just a little bit tired of being the team at other people's homecomings. We're the team that gets invited when another team has to show how easily it can crush the competition. Oh yeah, just get the Bears. They're local. So all of this is by way of saying, looking forward to the game today. I'm going to go. I'm thrilled that it's not 98 degrees and sunny, so it'll be pleasant to sit there and watch this football game. Get some hot dogs and hamburgers and other food crap into me. Enjoy hanging with friends at the tailgate party, maybe wave to a few students if I see them in the stands. But it's all by way of saying, shorter show than usual, and I've already talked through 15 minutes of it. So let me tell you what's going to be on this amazing, fabulous episode. Go figure that a show that I don't have my usual length of time, I have more to do than usual, because we have two special guests on Dave's Gone By today. One of them is someone I've known for about 7 or 8 years. She is a comedian, and a good one. And I knew her back when I was in New York, and StageBuddy.com, a website for which I serve now as the theater editor over there, they were having live, they were a combination of a variety show, a talk show, and a seminar. We were kind of figuring that out week to week. But I had a blast. We were doing them in New York at the Players Theater down on McDougal Street, and then we also did them in Midtown over at the Laugh. Well, it's partially a comedy club. It used to be a sex joint, strip and movies and tokens in the machines kind of place called Show World. That was it, Show World. And they took that building and then they turned it into legitimate theaters and also a comedy club. So we did our show called Stage Buddy Live there. And I was very proud to be the host for about 2 years. Had a wonderful time talking to famous people and cabaret folks and rising comedians and actors. It was mostly geared toward young performers and learning from agents and managers and actors how to get into the field. And Vicky was the talent coordinator for the comedy portion of the show because she was a comedian, she was moving in those circles, and she knew all these up-and-coming rising comedians. And she would book them. We'd have one or two on every show, and they'd open the show. And it was a tough gig because we didn't always have big houses, and it was 7 o'clock at night, and it wasn't it was a club thing, but it was more like a theater, so it didn't have the atmosphere quite of a Governor's, of a brokerage, of a stand-up New York kind of real comedy club. But still, we had folks whose names you're actually hearing now, to an extent. If you get that comedy radio station out of Denver, where they're playing stand-up comedy all day, which I think is a wonderful idea, you'll hear someone like D.L. Covan. And I remember him. He came up on stage 7 years ago on our Stage Buddy show. Now he's on the radio. Yahoo! And I'll bet you Vicky Kuperman will be on the radio in a year or two also. And I don't just mean our radio show, but more regular comedy radio shows and gigs, because she's honed her craft. She's turned into a good comedian. She has enough material now to do a CD, which she is doing this month. One of the reasons we're having her on. Vicky Kuperman recording her very first CD of comedy material. She is Jewish. She is Russian Jewish. She's actually Russian born, and that factors a lot into her comedy. Also, her social life, her dating life, her love life, and just life in America and in New York. So, very happy to have Vicky Kuperman in the neighborhood later on the show, talking to the one, the only Rabbi Saul Solomon. He has been our go-to gadfly ever since our very first episode. He often does rabbinical reflections. He doesn't have one for this episode, but he will be doing the Vicky Kuperman interview, and we're very proud of that. So, 2 Jews in a room, 7 opinions, go. Also on the program, and I can't believe that this is actually happening, but it is. And it was sort of a last-minute thing. So those of you who get our weekly Dave mails may not have been apprised of this early in the week when we sent out info about the program. But turns out that on public television in New York, there's Channel 13 in Manhattan and WLIW TV out on Long Island, Channel 21. Well, as I mentioned last week, there's this wonderful thing that the PBS is doing, public television back east. They're recording off-Broadway shows, and they are recording them for broadcast on TV, and also on the internet too. You can stream them. So you can go, I think it's this weekend, there's a couple of different airings, and see a show that played at the Abingdon Theater off-Broadway less than a year ago. And I know last week they did something from the Mint Theater Company called London Wall. And then coming up, they've got a trilogy of plays by Richard Nelson they'll be doing week after week after week. So it's this wonderful thing. I know I put on the TV. I didn't have time to watch it last night, but our local public television station in Colorado was showing The Nance, which I desperately wanted to see on Broadway. I never had the chance. It has Nathan Lane in it. It's this story about this vaudeville entertainer who plays a gay, mincing, stereotype gay character. He's gay in real life, but in the closet, because you don't want to be actually gay. But you can be funny gay on stage. I'm trying to remember who wrote The Nance. I don't think it's McNally. Maybe Douglas Carter Bean? I'm blanking. But anyway, so they're showing it on TV, and I just don't have... I'm so busy, I don't have time to watch it. But that was Broadway. Now PBS in New York is showing off-Broadway shows on TV and on the internet. And one of the shows that they're doing, as I said, was from the Abingdon Theater about 8 or 9 months ago, called Hellman versus McCarthy. And it's all about the feud, this nasty verbal and then legal feud between the playwright Lillian Hellman and the author and essayist and columnist, I don't know if she was columnist, Mary McCarthy, that happened back, I guess, in the 1970s. And it kind of started on TV. It started on the Dick Cavett show, of all places. Mary McCarthy was on the show as a guest. Cavett was asking her questions. He's a very literate interviewer. And he was saying, well, what do you think of this author and this novelist, and et cetera, and so forth. And then she said something really terrible about playwright Lillian Hellman. You have to stay tuned to find out exactly what she said. But it was really not a nice thing at all to say about a writer. Well, Lillian Hellman went berserk. She started firing off letters. She started suing McCarthy and sued the TV network. She sued her next door neighbor. She sued people in Tajikistan. I mean, just any place that she could sue over this, she did. So it became this huge hullabaloo. This playwright now, 25, 30 years later, writes, more than that, writes a play called Hellman versus McCarthy, gets off Broadway, got some pretty good reviews, and now they've taped it. Well, the most interesting thing, I did not see the show, so it's not fair for me to say it's the most interesting thing, but one interesting thing about the play and the production that they did off Broadway was that it starred in the cast Dick Cavett. Cavett playing himself 35 years ago, playing the host, the moderator of his talk show, talking to Mary McCarthy, then talking to Lillian Hellman on the show as well, in this weird art imitates life kind of thing with him in it. And the press people for PBS 13 were saying, okay, we're going to be showing this. We want to drum up publicity so people watch these plays. And we have certain people available for interviews. Among them, Dick Cavett. So immediately I fired off a letter to PBS. A lot of people firing off letters this morning on Dave's Gone By. Fired off an email to the kind press people there. And what do you know? Within about 24 hours, we're having Dick Cavett on the radio, here, on Dave's Gone By. One of the legendary American broadcasters of all time. Someone, certainly, in my opinion, up there with Steve Allen, who probably is the greatest. And then you've got the Jack Parrs and the Lettermans and the Charlie Roses and people who do mixes of variety and also just one-on-one talk. And Cavett, there's nobody like him. Brilliant man, funny, sharp man. Will he be brilliant and funny and sharp on Dave's Gone By with yours truly, Dave, trying to keep up and talk with him? You're just going to have to stay tuned and find out. So we're going to have part one of our Dick Cavett interview here on the show in just a little bit. And as I said, because we have a shorter show, we don't even have time to air the whole thing today. But that's great. That gives people a chance next week to hear more with Dick Cavett. I'm very, very proud to have him on the program. So yeah, Dick Cavett and Vicky Kuperman on Dave's Gone By, along with Rabbi Saul Solomon. We will also, we won't have time for Inside Broadway. I'm sorry about that. And we will have our Wretched Pun of Destiny, a very exciting thing that we've been doing the past few weeks, of really the worst puns ever concocted by man or beast. Happy to share them with you. We will have our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment. This is where we play songs from all different times of Bob Dylan's career, the genius that he is, and there's so much happening with Dylan in the weeks to come. He's got a new album coming out very shortly, and then they're going to be releasing the Basement Tapes, the full 6-CD collection of Dylan and the band in the Basement Tapes era, which is going to be a thrill for everybody, really. And let's see, on today's Dylan Sooner and Later segment, we'll be talking about two albums that were released right around this time of the year. And one is one of the greatest of all time. It's that live 1966 concert, known as the Royal Albert Hall concert, even though it was actually recorded in Manchester. Plus, around this time, on October 13th, they released on the same day, as a matter of fact. Both albums were released on October 13th. That weird, eccentric, mostly terrible, but occasionally fun Christmas album that Dylan did called Christmas in the Heart 5 years ago. So for the 5th anniversary of that, we're going to play a song from Christmas in the Heart too. So yeah, some Bob Dylan music to play, but let's get the ball rolling. Let's get started officially on this episode of Dave's Gone By with our first Saturday Segue, celebrating 2 birthdays. One of them turning 59 years old tomorrow is somebody that we've had very proudly had on this radio show a couple of years back. Jane Stewart. Don't know that name? Well, she changed it to Jane Siberry. And she is a Canadian singer-songwriter. Songs include Mimi on the Beach, I Muse Aloud, One More Color, and really her most famous one, the only one that everybody knows, is Calling All Angels, that duet that she did with Katie Lang. But she, I didn't know this, and Wiki has this, oh, God bless Wiki, but she did the theme song to the television series Maniac Mansion. Who knew? I always thought it was the McGarrigle sisters. Sounds more like them. But anyway, Jane Siberry has been releasing records now for several decades, has gone through different permutations of her career. Was on a major label for a while, Warner Brothers, and then was a little too eccentric and too out there for them, started doing stuff on her own labels, and in fact she was one of the pioneers in pricing for herself, doing everything herself. I mean, that became a little too much to deal with, but really having a personal imprint as an artist and taking absolute control of every aspect of her musical career. The recording, the releasing, the artwork. She's also a bit of a painter, and then the touring, of course. So it's worked for her. And this idea that she had for a while even of, well, it's pay what you can for my music. If you want an album, if you want it free, great. If you can pay for it, pay for it. Pay as much as you want, pay as little as you want. We suggest, however much it was, $9 for a CD. And apparently, for the time that she was doing this, she actually made more than $9. People gave her an extra couple of bucks just because she's kickstarting things, and she's doing that, and she's doing it again for her next album, which is due out. Well, I probably won't be out late this year, but early next year. She's doing another Kickstarter kind of a fundraiser, trying to raise she was trying to raise $35,000. She's already made $45,000, so I guess she's going to have the CD and have a party in Bermuda. Not quite sure about that. But she is truly a brilliant, probably a genius musician and composer, and an amazing, eccentric and wonderful lady, and it was an honor to have her on the show. And it's going to be an honor to play a couple of her songs as part of our Siberry and Simon Saturday Segue. That's alliteration for all my students. Siberry and Simon Saturday Segue. The Simon being Paul Simon, because it's his birthday too. He will be celebrating his 73rd birthday on Monday. Born in Newark, New Jersey back in 1941. His father was a professor and a part-time musician. I wonder what that's like. And his mom was an elementary school teacher. Paul Simon has won 12 Grammy Awards, including a Lifetime Achievement Honor. He was the first recipient of the Library of Congress's Gershwin Prize for Popular Song in 2007. He, what else about Paul Simon? Everybody wants to know his last gig with Art Garfunkel was as recent as 2011. They did a gig at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. So every once in a while, Paul and Art still get back together. Tom and Jerry, they do. Simon, by the way, we unfortunately was in the news a few months ago with marital troubles. It's his third wife. I didn't remember that. He was married to Peggy Harper for a few years, when they were both just kids. Then, of course, Carrie Fisher. He was married to her, and you can hear thoughts about their relationship on the Hearts and Bones album, especially. And then he met and married Edie Brickell from Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians. They've been married actually since 1992. And I would say Mazel Tov, except they had some domestic dispute issues that had the cops coming over a few months back and put them rather embarrassingly in the news. But he's Paul Simon. We love him. He was and remains a great influence on American popular song, always incredibly generous with young songwriters and up-and-coming singer-songwriters. On November 17th, Sony's going to release the complete Simon & Garfunkel box set on 12 CDs, which is kind of insane because the two guys only made 5 regular non-live albums in their whole careers. And there's also been box set after box set. I mean, Sony has been milking the teat on Simon & Garfunkel so dry for so many years. But again, they're going to have the Graduate soundtrack album and the Live in Central Park album all remastered rather beautifully on 12 CDs. Well, that's in November. Right now, we've got Jane Siberry, and we do have Paul Simon on our Saturday Segue here on Dave's Gone By. Just want to let you know or remind you that you're listening to us on UNC Radio. The call letters are uncradio.com on your interwebs. So I'm in the middle of trying to wake up my iTunes here. There we go. And let's see. If you want to drop me an email, my address is davesgoneby@aol.com. Remember, that's DAVES, davesgoneby@aol.com. And, of course, our website for the show, davesgoneby.com. And that's where the photos are, the info is, and the archives are, including our interview with the singer of this song, Jane Siberry.
Summer stormy seas, looking for my love. Oh, my love waits for me. Ah, but what darkness in the hearts of men. Good I sail my ship across some stormy seas, looking for my love, looking for my love, while my
to write a song about the moon, walk along the craters of the afternoon, when the shadows are deep and the light is alien, and gravity leaps like a knife off the pavement, and you want to write a song about the moon, you want to write a spiritual tune, the na-na-na-na-na, presto, a song about the moon. If you want to write a song about the heart, think about the moon before you start, because the heart will howl like a dog in the moonlight, and the heart can explode like a pistol on a June night. So if you want to write a song about the heart, and it's ever longing for a counterpart, the na-na-na-na-na-na, yeah, 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 write a song about the moon. The laughing boy, he laughed so hard, he fell down from his place. The laughing girl, she laughed so hard, oh, tears rolled down her face. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, songwriter, if you want to write a song about a face, think about a photograph that you really can't remember but you can't erase. Wash your hands in dreams and lightning, cut off your hair and whatever is frightening. If you want to write a song about a face, if you want to write a song about the human race, the na-na-na-na-na-na, yeah, 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 write a song about the moon. Song about the moon, you want to write a spiritual tune, na-na-na-na-na, yeah, 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 then do it, write a song about the moon.
is trembling, trembling like the little bird we hold within our hands. Love is bending, bending towards the worried brow. Here, let me wipe away your tears. Love is kneeling above the broken body, the ever upturned face. Love is missing. All the words are broken. Help me, I cannot find my way. No, I can't. I need you, love. Come on, love, will you sail across the water and lay your wisdom down? And love, will you sail across the water and tell us what you found? And love, will you sail across the water and hold us when we drown? And love, will you sail across the water? Is anybody listening? Love is trembling, trembling like the leaves above the baby's bed. Love is streaming, streaming with the tears that we cannot seem to shed. Love is frozen, frozen in the figure they just pulled from the subway grate. Love is a burning, burning with the anger that we all feel, against which we kneel, our faces pressed into the lap of loneliness. Come on, love, will you sail across the water and lay your wisdom down? And love, will you sail across the water and tell us what you found? And love, will you sail across the water and hold us when we drown? And love, will you sail across the water? Are we not willing? Are we not trying? Are we not trusting? Are we not crying? Are we not children? Are we not stumbling? Are we not wondering? Are we not, oh, sail across the water and lay your wisdom down? And love, will you sail across the water and tell us what you found? And love, will you sail across the water and hold us when we drown? And love, will you sail across the water? Are we not willing? Are we not bending? Are we not frozen? Are we not trembling? Are we not children? Are we not trying? Are we not wondering? Are we not, oh, love is trembling. Love is trembling. Yeah, yeah. Love is trembling.
Gee, but it's great to be back home. is where I wanna be. I've been on the road so long, my friend, and if you came along, I know you couldn't disagree. It's the same old story, yeah. Everywhere I go, I get slandered, libel. I hear words I never heard in the Bible, and I'm one step ahead of the shoe shine, 2 steps away from the county line, just trying to keep my customers satisfied, satisfied. Deputy Sheriff said to me, tell me what you come here for, boy. You better get your bags and flee. You're in trouble, boy, and now you're heading into war. It's the same old story. Everywhere I go, I get slandered, libel. I hear words I never heard in the Bible, and I'm one step ahead of the shoe shine, 2 steps away from the county line, just trying to keep my customers satisfied, satisfied.
A classic from Simon and Garfunkel there. Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. Paul and Art, Tom and Jerry, whatever you want to call them, happy birthday to Paul Simon. He will be turning 73 years old on Monday. So, yeah, we usually play somewhat longer Saturday segues, but because we've got a little bit of a truncated show, had to keep it to 4 songs in our Siberry and Simon Saturday segue tribute. So, yes, we heard Keep the Customer Satisfied. It's funny, I'm getting more into Bridge Over Troubled Waters in my later years, which was the last Simon and Garfunkel album. I mean, there were songs on it I liked growing up, but I was always more into the 2 previous albums, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary and Thyme, and Bookends. And now, over just these past recent years, I've discovered this song. Everybody know about this song, it was a hit, and also The Only Living Boy in New York, which is beautiful, and never appreciated them before the way I do now. So, yeah, Keep the Customer Satisfied from Bridge Over Troubled Waters, and we also heard the Paul Simon tune Song About the Moon from the Hearts and Bones collection. And then we also paid tribute to the birthday girl, Jane Siberry. Also, at some point in her career, she was called Issa, but then she went back to her name. 59 years old tomorrow, October 12th. Happy birthday to this Canadian, well, really 2 geniuses in this Saturday segue. We heard the beautiful ballad, Goodbye Sweet Pumpkinhead, from Maria. Not one of my favorite albums, but boy, that song, I just love it. And her greatest album, When I Was a Boy, we heard Sail Across the Water. If you've never heard When I Was a Boy, that's just one of the masterworks of that era. Anyway, happy to pay tribute to both Paul and Jane here on Dave's Gone By. It's 9:54 in the morning Mountain Time. You're listening to us on UNCRadio.com, the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado here in Greeley. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, giving a shout out to my wife Joyce at home, who's looking after our dogs, and then we'll both be tailgating together in a little while from now, but not before we give you the sponsors of this radio station and this radio program. First of all, for example, thank you so much to Blackjack Pizza. For those who love pizza, Blackjack has amazing deals, including a medium one-topping pizza for $6 or a large one-topping pizza for $7. This is for students, and they have other student specials. So give Blackjack a look on their Facebook page or call 970-356-2500. Obviously, if you're not in Colorado, you're going to call a different number for Blackjack, because that pizza is going to get, no matter how fast the driver drives that van, the pizza will be cold by the time it gets to you. If, for example, you're in Detroit and you call that number, 970-356-2500, for a pizza, no matter how much tin foil they put around it, it's still not going to be piping hot when it comes to your table. And speaking of hot, delicious food, we also thank so much the Wing Shack, which supports UNC and the Greeley community, serving non-GMO treated, grain-fed, free-range chickens. Open till midnight, 7 days a week in both of their locations around these parts, on 8th Avenue, right here on campus, and then up on 65th Avenue in West Greeley, the Wing Shack. Go Bears, go Greeley. Hey, and if you want to hear your ad on the radio, not just during my program, but during all the student programming that they have here all week long and on the weekends too, we can do that. So contact Samantha Roberts, Samantha.Roberts, spelled the usual Robertian way, at unco.edu. Samantha.Roberts at unco.edu for our disgustingly low prices. And again, we'll every DJ here is obligated to read these announcements and these advertisements every show. So you pay for your ad, you're just hearing it over and over again, day long, week long, here on UNC Radio. Oh, and we want to remind everybody that our radio station today, later this evening, after the football game, will be presenting a concert. They're presenting Disguise the Silence. That will be free on Turner Green, right here on campus, starting at 5:30 in the afternoon. For more information, please go to uncradio.com. Well, you have to be there already because you're listening, but check out also our Twitter feed at UNC Radio. At UNC Radio. So yeah, anything else from the station? No, but I've got to tell you that this program, Dave's Gone By, is brought to you by the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway since the mid-1970s. And I mean Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island, by the way. That's where they are. They're right in the heart of Hewlett, about 3 blocks from the Long Island Railroad Station, across the street from the Burger King and where the Lomans used to be. They're easily accessible in that nook, and the place to go for all your printing and binding jobs if you need to make Mylar balloons or big banners with your logo, or if you need your corporate logo put on a mug or a calendar or a golf ball or a pen and pencil set. If you need to send out, well, it's kind of early, but not so much, Christmas cards, New Year cards, Hanukkah cards, Hewlett Minuteman, they're great at that. They're also great at wedding invitations. And also, with all of this, if you mention Dave, and Dave's Gone By, you tell him Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small, from like a one-sided color copy all the way up to giant proposals and portfolios bound and spiral notebooked and whatever you need Hewlett Minuteman Press to do. So give them a call, 516-569-5577, 516-569-5577. Minuteman, they are the copy kings of Hewlett, Long Island. And the king of Broadway, well, that would be a website called totaltheater.com. Unfortunately, we don't have time to do our Inside Broadway segment, but I do want to thank the sponsors of this show and this segment. That includes TotalTheater.com, which is a free website of theater reviews and articles and information and interviews. And also, excuse me, still getting over that cold, the Total Theater Company puts out a hard copy journal called Performing Arts Insider that has been around since 1944. It's all the detailed information about every single show on every stage of New York. Broadway, off-Broadway, off Broadway. No matter how big or small the theatrical presentation, you will find it in the pages of Performing Arts Insider, along with calendar listings of dance, opera, awards, and special events. It's a hard copy. You get it in the mail. You can read it on your desk. You can read it on the train. Some people still really like the old-fashioned feeling of paging through a magazine rather than having to go on the internet, open 7 different windows, search this, find that, accidentally close the X on that, make the notes here, find that there. No. All your Broadway and off information in the pages of Performing Arts Insider. For more information, go to performingartsinsider.com. Well, it's 10 a.m. Mountain Time here at the University of Northern Colorado. Dave's Gone By is the program. Dave Lefkowitz is the name. As I mentioned, proud to know a comedian. And I'm not using, she doesn't like the word comedian. She thinks there shouldn't be a sexist segregation. So she is a comedian, and she's good. And her name is Vicky Kuperman. Going to hear a little bit of her, and then we're going to talk to a lot of her. Well, I'm not, but Rabbi Saul Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches, is lucky enough to talk to Vicky Kuperman on the show.
Vicky Kuperman!
So I'm from Russia. Yes, your silence is appropriate. It's a horrible country. Thank God for the bald man who found me on the internet and brought me here. Growing up Russian, I had a lot of cultural gaps with my parents as well as generational ones. When I met my boyfriend in high school, my mother, after 3 days, she goes, "Do you love him?" I go, "Mom, I don't know. It's been 3 days." She goes, "When I married your father, I knew him 3 days. They told me I learned to love him." I said, "Oh, okay, well, did you?" She said, "I've learned I'm slow learner, Vicky." My father still thinks the KGB is after him 30 years later, still thinks they're tapping his phones. To this day, he'll call me and say, "I have to tell you something. Are you alone?" "Oh, you're at the party? Go to the bathroom." Close the door. Lock it. "Is there a vent?" "Close the vent." "Can you breathe?" "No?" "Okay, good." "Check the shower." Okay. Don't write this down. You didn't hear it from me. Food Emporium having sale on beef. Goodbye. It's my father. So I don't know if I look at him a very organized person. I like checklists. Nothing better than checking something off your list, right? It's just great. For example, I've gained all the weight I want to for spring. That's done. I don't want April to come tomorrow and I have pounds to pack on. That would stress me out. I'm done with... I decided to just accept myself as I am. It's easier than trying to diet. That didn't work out for me, so plan B was Spanx. I'm now wearing Spanx. I see the straight men in the room don't know what Spanx are, which means you're being fooled. That's what it means. Spanx are very, very tight underwear women put over their stomachs to make us look thinner. And then depending on our hair day, we can put them over our face to make us look prettier. Very tight. Then you take them off, it's like a frisbee. You throw it around in the park. The only thing that's changed since I started wearing Spanx is it takes me now 40 minutes to leave a bathroom after flushing the toilet. My coworkers are starting to think I have a drug problem. Which is fine. I'd rather them think I dabble in narcotics than know what my real body looks like, so it's okay. I'm half Jewish. Yeah, I don't know if you're an anti-Semite or Jewish, but anyway, either way. Just half. It's a recession. It's all I can afford right now. I'm working up to it. But the guys I meet in the New York area, they want a full Jew from all angles, and they can be picky. They want a full. They don't like half. It's not. I was Jewish enough for Hitler, but not David Filkenstein from Great Neck.
Hi, I'm comedian and author Vicky Kuperman. I'm doing a show called When I Could Feel, my stand-up solo show, and I am so excited to be talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon of UNC Radio for his show, Dave's Gone By.
Shalom, shalom, uvracha. Hello, everybody. This is Rabbi Sal Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am so excited and so thrilled and delighted to be talking to a Shayna Maidel, and a funny Shayna Maidel. Her name is Vicky Kuperman, so you can tell she's Jewish right off the bat. She's not only Jewish, she's Russian Jewish, born in Russia, and she's been working for many years, working herself up to be a comedian, and now it's all starting to fall into place. She's done dozens and dozens of gigs. Now she has a book out. It's called The Russian Drop. And she also is doing a show as part of the United Solo Theater Festival, and it's been selling out like hotcakes, or whatever the Russians make that are cake-like. Her name, again, is Vicky Kuperman. She's been called one of the 12 new comedians to watch by the Huffington Post. Please welcome Vicula. Shalom.
Shalom.
Why, thanks. Oh, good. It looks like I'm killing already. You're the comedian, but I'm making you laugh. This is a biggest compliment ever.
It is a compliment, but all Jewish men think they're comedians, so you also are kind of a comedian.
Well, it's only because women look below our waists and they start laughing, so it's
right.
That's
yeah,
what
a
happens.
lot of laughter.
Yeah. So you were born in Moscow. How long were you there?
I was there 2 years.
So really, you're not. Did you even learn any Russian?
Yes, I speak Russian fluently, and I can say some words to you right now.
Oh, go ahead. So go ahead.
No, I'm not doing that.
Oh, okay. Don't go ahead.
Блядь, ёб твою мать.
All right. Can you translate that one, or will it get us both?
Fuck your mother.
Ooh.
Oh, and I called you a whore.
Well, all right. That's not so bad. But leave my mother out of it.
Leave your mother out of it. Sorry, I know.
My father, you can call up, but not my mom. No.
Okay.
So but let me ask. Jewish family, Russia, but relatively modern era, or was this still during the whole Soviet Jewry thing?
Oh, I appreciate you saying that I'm younger than I am, but yes, this was during Soviet Union that I was born. No, I'm
So?
or 20. My father's Jewish, my mother's not.
So well,
they had to secretly have a marriage in me, and they didn't tell anybody about it until they needed,
Well, so everybody assumed the family was Christian? No, or not. No, wait. What am I missing?
My mother's not Christian. She's Russian Orthodox.
Okay.
It was like in the 70s in Soviet Union, and I was born in 78. I'm not one of those people that lies about my age.
Okay. Well, you're still a lovely, beautiful-looking person, so no matter what age you are.
Thank you for telling me that even though I'm 36, I look good. Thank you.
36? You're a spring chicken!
I'm a spring chicken.
How do you say spring chicken in Russian?
There is no word for spring chicken. There's only word for old, ugly hag in Russian.
Well, how do you say, there must be a word for chicken.
Chicken, kuritsa.
Kuritsa. How do you say the season of spring?
Sna, so it would be Vesnaya kuritsa.
Vesnaya kuritsa.
Very good.
Yeah,
really good Russian.
Well, I've got some of that background in me.
In you right now?
My no wonder I'm walking funny. But thank you so much. Where the hell are we? Oh, yeah, Vicky Kuperman, her family, Russian Jews.
Anyway, whatever. I was a Jewish refugee, but I'm just half Jewish through my father, which, the New York Jews don't accept, but the parts of the country where they're desperate for Jews totally accept.
Totally. Well, I accept it, but my question is, did they have...
Colorado, and you're desperate for Jews.
Oh, hell yeah. Every time one dies, you actually see the percentage go down 12%. It's amazing.
Are you stoned right now?
No, I get high on life and Manischewitz. I do.
Okay.
I do, yeah. My question, though, is, you can play it funny, but I'm wondering, in that era, how did your parents get the hell out of Russia?
My dad's mother, my grandmother, had been saving up and applying for an invitation out or an invitation into America for years. And there was a big Russian-Jewish exodus in 1980, so they were accepted. At that, father was like, guess what? I have a wife and child. My wife's a Soviet. She may not want to go. And my mother's like, fuck it, I'll go. So everyone went.
So everyone went. And New York was the destination?
Boston was.
Oh, Boston.
We had, my grandfather's uncle lived in Boston, and he got out because he was the world checker champion for 7 years. He was like a really famous checker player, so he got to travel.
A really famous, that's an oxymoron. I'm sorry. A world famous checker just doesn't exist. We have another person coming up on the show in a week or two, Ian Finkel, who is the son of Fivish Finkel, actually, and he appears in the band backing his dad. And he is probably the world's best-known xylophonist. Well, let me tell you something, honey. Again, oxymoron.
Checkers got me into America, so checkers are important to me.
Hey, checkers got Nixon in the White House. It works.
Checkers got Nixon.
Thank you very much. I should have a rim shot. As opposed, well, I'm not going to go there. But all right, so do you have any memories, even though you were 2 years old, of being a baby in Russia, in Moscow?
I have no memories, but I went back for a semester in '99, and I had a lot of deja vu.
Wait, in '99? That was pre-Glasnost, no?
No, it was after Glasnost, but it was pre-Putin. It was 3 months before Putin.
Oh, before Putin is great. Well, that's right. I'm thinking
Nelson was drunk, so it was anarchy and whatever.
Well, so did you enjoy being in Moscow for a semester?
I loved it, but it was intense.
Okay.
And everything there's more intense, so...
Did you get to see other parts?
Which turned into strep. Which turned into pneumonia, which turned into mono. And I had to leave early.
Now, hold on.
So it was snowing and freezing by September 30th.
Oh, I know. My friend Dave went to St. Petersburg a couple of times years ago, and it was early November, and he was in St. Petersburg, and the Neva was frozen on October 5th or something like that. It was snowing every day because it was winter already.
Right, it's nuts.
But let me ask, you had pneumonia. Were you in a Russian hospital? What was that like?
Russian hospital, yeah. It was basically like an abandoned school with a woman who was sticking something down my throat to see if I had strep, and it was like...
That sounds like my first visit to a whorehouse, yes?
Yeah, exactly. Wait.
What? No, I don't...
What kind of whores do rabbis go to?
What kind of whores do rabbis... Let's see. Basically, you go to a woman, you beg and complain. And you beg for sex, but unlike in marriage, you actually get it.
Unlike in marriage.
Yeah, that's the actual difference. That.
Are you a whiny customer? You're being like, I just ate.
Well, all right, let me throw that back on you. If you had to describe yourself as a comedian, what kind of comedian are you? Oh, sorry? Oh, you don't like the female thing. You just like pure comedian, no sex attached, as it were.
I don't know. Do you call them doctresses or doctors?
That's a...
Rabbi.
Oh, fair enough. Well, we have rabbis and rebbitzins, the wife of the rabbi.
Yeah, the wife of the rabbi isn't a rabbi.
Well, what do you call a male? Well, we have female male people, and we call them a mailman, sort of.
No, but that's not my arena. My arena is spreading the information that I'm a comedian. But anyway, your question was...
I don't know what the hell my question was. My question was, how would you describe your style? Are you experiential? Are you joke? Or,
I think I started out as kind of more jokes, and now I'm trying to do stories with more punchlines and jokes. So not like one-liners, but I have punchlines.
Oh, I hope so, yes.
Sorry, I'm here with my friends, so let me ask them. Do I have punchlines? Yes, yeah, I have punchlines. I got punchlines.
Is there all? I have to say also, I enjoyed seeing you years ago.
Yeah.
When Dave and you were working on Stage Buddy, what? Yes?
Yeah, Stage Buddy. I hosted with Dave.
That's right. You dealt with all the comedians, and some of the comedians that you booked for the show, your friends of yours, they're now turning up on comedy radio stations and things like that. J.L. Covan was one of them. I forget one or two of the others.
I booked a lot of people. One of them had a Comedy Central special. Another one hosts something on NPR.
So do you feel that this is now your time, as it were? Do you feel things changing now that you got the one-person show and an album that you're recording?
Did record on September 28th.
Oh, right, of course. Thank you. You recorded it already.
I feel like it's my time because I'm making it my time. I don't know what the industry, I have no idea what's in store for me with the industry, but I feel like I'm not waiting around for that.
Good for you. So the other question, though, is you have done, as I said, hundreds, maybe thousands of gigs at this point, lots of opening act things. Yep. I'm sure you get paid a bit now as opposed to just doing everything for free.
Right.
Are you supporting yourself in comedy?
Not yet.
Oh, what do you do? What's your day job?
Producer.
Oh, that's a good creative. What do you produce?
I produce a weekly web show for Marlo Thomas, who has a show on AOL, and I work on AOL projects as well.
Wonderful. That's a great... How is...
Say that.
What's Marlo Thomas like?
Wait a minute.
What?
I just swore on your show. So delete the AOL part when you hear this. So let me start again, okay?
Sure, yeah, okay.
But I can definitely say Marlo. It's fun. So I produce a show for Marlo Thomas. It's a weekly web show, and we have different guests like celebrities and experts. It's basically targeted to women over 40, and it's very fun. And Marlo is a huge fan of comedy because her dad was a huge famous comedian.
Danny Thomas, of course.
Who had his own show and founded St. Jude Children's Hospital. So
that's St. Jude. That's a funny thing, yes.
Just that St. Jude. Just the most, successful charity in America. That's what I do.
Well, actually, here's the question then. I'm curious about that as well. When you say you produce this show for the web, what does that entail?
What it entails booking the guests, handling all the crew. I mean, this is kind of boring.
No, it's not.
Okay, handling all the crew, making sure Marlo knows, meeting with Marlo to pre-produce our segments, making sure our demographic is aligned with our guests, a lot of scheduling with celebrities. Yeah. My friend is saying it a different way, but I'm not going to say it that way.
All right.
A lot of
wrangling is the word.
Celebrities, and then actually being on set and making sure the crew is there, making sure the lighting's right, and then
that's a pretty fabulous gig.
Writing the clips after, and
So I find that exciting. I thought you'd say, I'm a waitress 3 times a week, or
not a waitress, but sometimes I wish I were.
Okay, yeah. It sounds like you're holding back. When you finally give up the Marlo Thomas job, then we'll talk, and then you'll tell me all the horrible things you're not telling me now. Because I'm sensing something
horrible
about...
things. I love my job. It's allowed me... Wait a minute. I've done my job for 4 years, actually, like today. Today is actually, I think, the anniversary.
Mazel!
Yeah, thank you. Oh, no, not today. Sorry. I mean...
recently.
Ago.
Recently was your job, yes.
But I love my job. I'm not holding back anything. It's just funny. When you do a job for a long time, it feels kind of boring to you because you're doing it.
I'm sure it's not boring to anybody, certainly not to me and to anybody listening, to have a gig where you're producing a celebrity's web show. People would kill for that, let alone being a stand-up comedian on the rise. And speaking again...
Wonderful, because I've been doing it 4 years, and I have my weekends and nights to do my comedy.
Yeah.
And write my book, which, by the way, is called The Russian Drop.
The Russian... What is that?
That is a fiction.
Ooh.
I have to stress it's fiction for legal purposes about a...
How much sex is in it?
28-year-old Russian-American girl living in New York City.
Lots of sex. Okay.
A year before she starts stand-up, and she goes on a lot of dates, and this is kind of first-person chronicling those dates. It's comedic and light and fun. It's a great plane or beach book. If somebody wants a signed copy, I can actually sign it and mail it to me if they PayPal me. So signed copies are always fun.
Can they do that through Amazon or just through your website?
They can just email me through my website. My website is VickyKuperman.com. It's Kuperman, Kuperman. They can also find the book on Amazon. They can get it as an e-book. I make it very easy.
And be very careful, folks. It's Kuperman with 1 P. It isn't a PP, which really hurts your bladder. But it's Kuperman, Kuperman. And Vicky with a Y. A Y on the end.
With a Y, good point.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Why? Because we like you, Vicky Kuperman. And let me ask you, Vicky, have you encountered, since stand-up comedy, even perhaps now, is still perceived on some level as a man's game? And we saw the documentary about Joan Rivers and making it all those years in a man's quote-unquote world. Do you still encounter sexism in what you do, or is that kind of not even an issue anymore?
I don't know how it's perceived by others, because I'm on the other side of that. I have to say that creatively, that you can develop your act. I don't know what it's like to be a man, but I found that as a woman, I can develop my act just as much as a man can, because there are plenty of places to go, do open mics,
True.
do writing groups, do shows, do bar shows. But now that I'm trying to switch over to doing it for more money and more full-time, I have noticed the sexism more when it comes to the business part of it. and that's when it gets a little personal.
So, in other words, you find your cohorts who are male are getting paid more, getting better times?
More, just getting booked.
Getting booked.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, now that's why I'm asking. I'm not in the field.
And I don't, that's just another wall for me to break. I mean, I just have to keep getting funnier and funnier, and hopefully this won't be an issue. But I have to say that the comedy, when someone's asked me, is comedy sexist? No, the art, the craft of comedy is not sexist.
Oh, no, well, unless you're Jerry Lewis. But
Jerry Lewis, but the craft is not. To me, maybe someone else thinks women aren't funny. That's their problem.
No, I meant in the business sense. I meant in
the business,
getting ahead.
It's shifting. The business is shifting. But the level I'm at is a little tough because those clubs are still kind of doing status quo. Those are still kind of status quo. Those are still, if there's 2 women on a show out of 3 comedians, suddenly they make it a ladies' weekend. Like, why can't it just be comedy? Because I did a show where there were 3 women on the show, upstate New York, and everybody left very happy, and the audience left. They bought, like, a lot of my books. They met with everybody. They loved it. They asked when we're playing again. They requested us back as a club. Not one of those audience members left saying, there was something missing. I wish there was a man on the show tonight.
Oh, no, well, no, certainly not.
No. And not to say that there's plenty of men I love that are hilarious.
Well, who are some of the comedians who influenced you, male or female?
Sherry Davy is one of the first comedians I ever met. She was hosting at Caroline's a little over 7 years ago. She's one of the funniest, smartest people in the business.
Sherry Davy.
Oh, how Joan Rivers, up to the end, was reinventing herself with the trends of the industry, and she would do anything. She went on Celebrity Apprentice. She had her fashion police. She moved with the times, like a salmon in a current, okay? Or did they swim with stream or above stream? Wherever
salmon...
Okay, that was Joan Rivers. Sherry Davy is like one of those people, and she's hilarious. I really recommend everybody looking for her. Another comedian that greatly influences me as a person, as a comedian, is Max Cohen.
Max Cohen?
An incredible working comedian in New York City and starting to branch out on the road a lot. He is incredibly disciplined with his delivery and his jokes. I wish I was that disciplined.
So, how well do you know this person?
How well do I know this person?
Yes.
Both Sherry and Max I'm very close with.
Okay, yeah, no, so, I mean, are you physically there with Max Cohen?
I am physically there with Max.
Okay, I was just curious.
Sherry, I think everyone should know about her.
Yeah.
A joke writer like no other. I featured for her while she headlined in Albany 2 weeks ago, and I was amazed at her ability. She killed for 45 minutes in a crowd that was not easy. And I had dips in. She just got up there, and they couldn't breathe by the end. And Max Cohen, I'm telling you, I wish I had the discipline to deliver jokes the same way every night, because that's how you get good. That's a very Seinfeld-like quality.
To know every single time you're only changing maybe a word, but the cadence is always
delivery isn't right, but the point is you do it until you know. And I'm not that good at, I wish I could learn from him. And the third person I'd like to mention is a guy named Keith Anthony out of Long Island. I saw him the very first time I even wanted to do comedy, and I was amazed.
Keith Anthony, okay.
Anthony, he talks about everything that's wrong with society, but he does it in a funny way. And he was doing it for a while before people were as angry as he was. And then 2008 hit, and then they got angrier than he was. And now, and I think, I haven't seen him in a while, but I think he's really clicking with people's mindsets right now. So I think great things are going to happen for him. I'm waiting for his HBO special.
Well, between Louis Black and Louis C.K., anger is, I guess, in.
Anger's big right now.
Yeah.
Anger's huge.
Works for me. God damn it. Oh, yeah. Then now, have you done...
Max Cohen on the show, because he went to rabbinical school. Yes, thank you for the applause.
And he's Presbyterian, so it's a real shock. Now, have you done the cross-country stuff, or have you hit just New York and Florida? Or how coastal are you at this point in your comedy?
Florida.
Chicago, where the yids are.
I mostly do stuff around New York. I've done road gigs elsewhere. I just did some shows in Denver, and I performed in the Castro, which is
San Francisco?
I'm in San Francisco.
You gotta get the Fagelas to love you, just like Joan Rivers.
Exactly.
You need them.
A woman who loves the gays. Castro was amazing. Denver was great. I've performed in the Northwest in like 4 states. I've performed in Indiana, but mostly it's like Long Island, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Boston.
Well, were the crowds different in, say, Indiana?
Yes.
How?
But they were great.
Okay. I'm not saying they were worse, but how were they
Actually,
different?
to me, the worst comedy audience is Long Island.
Why?
The worst.
Why?
Why? I don't know. You ask them.
No, or how then? What happens in Long Island? Are they drunk?
Aren't crossed. Who does she think she is? She's not one of us. We're not laughing.
Really?
We're racist. We don't laugh at racial stuff. We don't laugh at Jewish stuff. And I'm like, unless you do like a temple, and then it's great because it's a niche.
Right.
I rarely have a good show in Long Island, like especially when you're out east in Long Island. And I know now, like all of Long Island is going to ban me just when they.
Yeah, because so many people listen to this program.
David Brenner was a big mentor for me, and when I mentioned Long Island, he started shuddering and said, "Oh, don't even talk to me about Long Island. It's horrible."
Wow.
Yeah, I think Jerry Seinfeld has actually said it too, even though he's from there. I think he said, "It's a tough crowd. It's always a tough."
Oh, I know. I remember Dave appearing at the Brokerage a couple of times. Ooh.
Brokerage.
Scary. Yeah, it's a club on Long Island. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and the Brokerage actually really the words construct what Long Island is, which is broke rage. Broke rage.
You do have punchlines, Vicky Kuperman.
I am good at punchlines. The Brokerage is actually an exception because it's a little closer in to like Queens, and so it's a little more diverse. And I had amazing shows at the Brokerage.
Oh, good. Yeah, he didn't have bad experiences there. It was just,
I did not have, and I was opening for Gilbert Gottfried, so I was kind of there like with an open mind, It was great. But
you open for Gilbert. Any Gilbert stories?
He's really nice off stage.
Yeah, he was on this radio program, so I'm kind of curious. He seemed like a nice fella. When you get past, obviously, the shtick that he does when he's on, quote unquote. Although he's always on, so you never get past the shtick. But still, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Now, what is your worst? We have only a couple minutes left with Vicky Kuperman. What's the hell gig? Worst gig you ever did?
Worst gig I ever did?
Oh, yeah. Besides this radio show?
There was one in Southern Oregon when I was doing it at a casino. I was doing half an hour, and the headliner was doing 60, and there was a cage separating the people who paid from who didn't.
That was a cage!
And I was on stage, and someone offered me a drink.
Oh?
Said no thanks, and apparently you're not supposed to do that. It's really rude. Apparently, if you don't drink or if you don't want to drink, you're supposed to tell the waitress, if someone gives me a drink, just bring me Sprite. And it's out. Yeah. I didn't know that. I was a year in. So I said no, and then they turned. Well, they'd already turned because I started on my Jewish stuff, and they'd never met a Jew, which means they were uncomfortable with Jews, which means they're kind of anti-Semitic, but they're kind of just never met one. So it's like asking me how I feel about aliens. I'm like, I don't know. But
see, I can hate Jews because I've met many.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've met a lot. And then the people behind the cage started banging the cage, and I said, oh, well, they're having fun. And someone said, no, they're trying to get out and away from you as fast as possible.
Oh, my God!
At that point, I had 27 minutes left.
And isn't the rule that you have to do all your minutes to get paid or something like that?
You do kind of have to do all your minutes to get paid, yeah.
So did you...
If it's between 25 and 30, you can get off at 25, but no, I can't do 3 minutes. No.
So did you tough it out, or did you just go, I'm leaving the cage match?
Well, I just recited my act. I was kind of like reciting it into a mirror.
Oh, my God.
I got on, and then he got off stage. I said, good job. And he said, I wish I could say the same thing to you. And then he criticized my act in the next car ride for 5 hours. And told me that I should never tell people I'm Russian because people in that area still think Russians are communists. And I said, this was in 2009, and I said, I completely don't agree with you, and you should never underestimate the audience, and they should always come to you instead of you come to them. And, well, I think I was right, to be honest.
Let's say 85% of the time that works for you, and then you run into an audience where the guy was right. But most of the time you have to stick to your guns.
You do.
And by the way, if you take out the fact that you're...
What do you think Mick Jagger does? Suddenly start singing country music or ballads when...
Well, he has done country music. He's tried it anyway.
No, but I mean, do you think he starts doing rap and hip-hop when, like, his stuff isn't working? I mean, you got to be... I think the best artists who are successful have always stuck to who they are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, where do you... Do you have a time set aside for writing new jokes? Do you carry index cards? What is your process of adding material?
I don't have a process. It's just what comes to me, or like adding on to stuff I already have.
And then kind of morphing and dropping. I mean, do you have? I'm sure you also have different sets, like a 10-minute, a half hour of.
Right, 5, 10, 8, 15, half an hour, 45. I have different sets. Also, if I'm doing a temple, I might not do this. I might not do my Auschwitz joke.
What? Please tell us your Auschwitz joke.
No, you have to buy my DVD that I recorded.
You have a DVD? I didn't know this. What was that?
I recorded my solo show, When I Could Feel, and it's on DVD very soon.
Oh boy! But remind everybody that before they even get the DVD, they can still see it. It's almost sold out. But
almost 2 tickets left for in 2 days, October 13th. 2 tickets left.
That's it? 2 tickets left?
Yeah.
Oh my! Well,
by the time the people will go, it'll probably be sold out.
Well, Mazel McGlick is part of the United Solo Theater Festival on Theater Road. That's on West 42nd, I think, on 9th Avenue there.
Exactly, that's it.
And also, don't forget.
Sorry, my friend is sneezing.
Oh, Gesundheit, friend. Gesundheit.
Well, anyway, I have to go perform.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it has been an absolute delight talking with the fun and funny Vicky Kuperman. Remember, her website is VICKYKUPERMAN. Last quick question.
Remember, Sherry Davy, Max Cohen, and Keith Anthony.
Max Cohen and Keith Anthony. Last quickie question for you. What was your heaven gig? I asked you about your hell gig. What's the greatest gig you've had so far?
Greatest gig I've had so far?
If you had to pick one.
Yeah, I'm not going to go with best paying.
No, I meant best audience, most fun. I Can't Believe I'm Here.
Oh, I Can't Believe I'm Here was when I was with David Brenner last New Year's for 4 shows in Valley Forge Casino, but and he's since passed away, and I did his last show with him, so that was I Can't Believe I'm Here. But actually, a really, really fun gig that surprised me was in 2009 for this very, for a working class community in the Bronx, and it was in one of their function halls, and I thought it was going to be horrible, because I'm like in the Bronx, I don't know where I'm going. It was about an hour away. And I get there, and it was the nicest, warmest group of people, and everybody killed. My favorite shows are when everybody kills. My favorite shows are when everyone does well.
Yeah, because one comedian, they build upon another. There's momentum.
And also, it just shows that people can be exposed to different points of view.
Everybody, expose yourself to Vicky Wait, no, I should rephrase that.
No, not that way, please.
Go see Vicky Kuperman live and in person in her solo show. Get her book, get her DVD. Yep. Go to her website and watch her star rise as a comedian. Vicky Cooper, I thank you so much for being in the neighborhood. How do you say, is it Das Vidanya in Russian?
Vidanya.
Das Vidanya and Shalom. Bye-bye now.
Shalom.
After college, my friends and I, we went on a Holocaust tour around Europe, because we're fun like that, that's right. Cocaine at Krakow. It was... Everyone else is going to Bermuda, we're going... The day we're supposed to go to Auschwitz, my friends all kind of woke up, they're like, we don't want to go to Auschwitz. I just said nobody wanted to go to Auschwitz, okay? That's part of the experience. You're supposed to wake up not wanting to go. The genocide portion of my set is almost over. Just gonna go to Rwanda next, and then we'll be done. I might say some racist stuff tonight. Not here, just at home later. Just letting you know. I don't know what the political landscape of this room is. I think the politics has just kind of gotten weird. But I think we should just be thankful still we have a president and first lady who look like they have sex. Okay? With each other. Okay? That's the key. And I did cry when he got elected. I really did. Maybe stupid now 4 years later, but I was in a circle of friends crying. We just said, finally, we don't judge people by the color of their skin. This is amazing, like tears. And my Chinese friend, Michael Choi, was like tears streaming down his face. He goes to me, maybe there'll be a Chinese president in 8 years. And I just went, no, I'm sorry, I don't think so.
Vicky Kuperman on Dave's Gone By. Very proud to have her. Thank her so much for being in the neighborhood with us and with Rabbi Saul Solomon as well. For more information about Rabbi Saul, do visit his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. Also get on his Twitter feed, which is at Rabbi Sol Solomon, S-O-L-S-O-L-O-M-O-N, at Rabbi Sol Solomon. But really, Shalom Dammit is the focal point for all the rabbi stuff. You can hear his rabbinical reflections. He has more than 100 of them. Those are his mini sermons that he does not quite every week here in the neighborhood, and those are a lot of fun. He also has a stage show that he did in New York a couple of years back, and also here in Colorado. An early version of that show you can watch on YouTube, and the link is right there on shalomdammit.com, plus his hilarious TV show that he did for Long Island Cable back in the late aughts, whatever that was, 2007, 2008. Definitely check that all out at shalomdammit.com. And we also keep tabs on other folks who have appeared on Dave's Gone By over the years. We call them the Friends of the Neighborhood. Those include the comedian Gallagher, who released his last stand-up album. I mean, he's still alive, but he's had all sorts of ailments and illnesses, and he's kind of retiring. But he put out one last stand-up album called I Am Who I Intend to Be, recorded at the Ice House Comedy Club. I'm not sure where that is, but it does say that his previous stand-up comedy album, he only put out one back in 1978. It was at the same location, so he went back to where it started for Gallagher, and check out his website to find out how to get, I guess, both of those albums. Dave Koenig, another comedian, his third podcast is now up and loaded. He talks to actor Gianni Russo, who played Carlo in The Godfather. That's all at davekoenig.com. And congratulations to Art Paul Schlosser, the prolific outsider singer-songwriter, literally outside a lot of the time, up in Wisconsin. He has a new CD called I Want to See You Smile, Art Paul Schlosser. I want to remind people that you can catch my very good friend and colleague and even mentor, Richmond Shepard. He's been doing his one-man show called You Wanna Be a What? At Don't Tell Mama, the club in Manhattan, 343 West 46th Street. It's called You Want to Be a What? Because Richmond is apparently the world's oldest professional mime at this point. No, don't hate him. You don't have to hate mimes. They actually have some skill, and they can be pretty terrific. So check him out. Richmond Shepard, 9:15 on Tuesday evenings at Don't Tell Mamas. Another good friend of mine, playwright Mario Fratti, who has written many plays, quite prolific, and just a wonderful capacity for this man to enjoy life. Well, he wrote a play back in the 70s that ended up being adapted, and he helped adapt into the musical 9. It was all about Federico Fellini directing 8½, and the women in Fellini's life, and how life and art were being out of balance and yet in balance at the same time. Anyway, Fratti wrote this play called Six Passionate Women that is being revived at Theater for the New City. That is happening from now through the end of next week, through October 26th. So, Six Passionate Women at Theater for the New City off Broadway. Loudon Wainwright III is playing tonight at the Schimmel Center over in Pace University on Spruce Street. You've got someone who appeared on one of our earliest shows, Karen Coonrod, a very well-respected director of theater. She has teamed up with Elizabeth Swados for an adaptation of The Tempest called Tempest 3 that they're doing at La Mama. Got a really nice review. I don't know if it was in the New York Times, but it was somewhere, like a lovely review for the piece called Tempest 3 at La Mama. And, big shout out to Ken Womble, a professor here at UNC. He's also an author now. He's got his book out where he talks about the careers of various actors who have made it in the business. Not that they're always huge, famous stars, but that they're always working, which is what it's all about. Ken Womble is directing August Osage County here at the University of Northern Colorado. That's happening starting at the end of this week, from the 16th through the 20th at the Langworthy Theater. That's the big one over in, I think it's Fraser Hall. Yeah. Let's see, what else? Oh, Gilbert Gottfried, whom we just heard Vicky Kuperman talking about. Gilbert Gottfried is playing at the Suffolk Theater on Main Street in Riverhead, Long Island. That is on the 17th of October, moving towards really next weekend. We've got Brian Gary at Don't Tell Mamas, and then next coming Monday, Daphne Rubin Vega will be among the guests for Lance Horn's gig at Birdland. That's at 7 o'clock next Monday. For for some longer running things, we also want to give shout-outs to Danny Burston, who's in Cabaret on Broadway at Studio 54. Shout-out to, Julie Halston. She's on Broadway in You Can't Take It With You at the Longacre Theater. That got really lovely reviews when that opened 2 weeks ago, and I'm looking forward to seeing that on my upcoming trip to New York. On Broadway, you've got Aladdin, which features lyrics by Tim Rice and our friend Alan Menken. Perfect Crime at the Snapple Theater Center, featuring Catherine Russell, who has played well over 11,000 performances of that show. They make a big deal, and rightly so, this past week when Marion Seldes died, this great grande dame of New York theater. Marion Seldes passed away after a fairly long illness, and they said that she made the Guinness Book of World Records because she was on Broadway and featured role, wasn't quite a star, but a featured role in the original Death Trap for 5 years and never missed a performance. So it got her into the record books. Well, Catherine Russell has been in Perfect Crime for 28 years, and I think she's missed 3 performances total since it started. So, yay, Catherine. And please keep staying alive. I don't want to do an obituary for you. Certainly not. What else? Jim Caruso's Cast Party, Monday nights at Birdland. Mike and Molly on TV, featuring our friend Swoosie Kurtz. Now in its 5th season, Mike and Molly is... Read The Village Voice to read Alan Scherstuhl's columns and film reviews. Read Peter Felicia, the critic, at Kritzerland.com. And then, of course... check out the other theater critics who've been on the show. Joe Domanowitz in the Daily News, Linda Weiner in Newsday, Elizabeth Vincentelli in the New York Post, and Matt Windman in AM New York. Excuse me. Everybody, subscribe to drdemento.com. You don't have to actually even subscribe. He does new Dr. Demento shows every week. And they cost like $2 to stream, to listen, or $4 if you want really high-quality audio. But I guess there are subscriptions you can take out, or you can listen show by show. Plus, he's got tons of archives there. They're all at drdemento.com. Oscar Brand's Folk Song Festival is on Saturdays at WNYC AM 820. I didn't realize that it's not streaming. They only stream their FM dial. But if you're in the New York area, you can hear Oscar Brand on WNYC AM. And you can hear Frank DeCaro daily on Sirius XM Radio, UncleFloydRadio.com for the occasional Uncle Floyd Vivino radio show. David Kenny's Everything Old is New Again, Sunday nights on WBAI Radio. And finally, our great good friend, whom I hope to see when I'm in New York soon, Bob Cudmore, Mondays through Fridays, the morning shift, morning drive on VTLFM.com. That's out of Amsterdam, New York. Whew, I need a beverage. So while we do that, let's set up our intro to our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment. Yay! Come gather round, people. It's time for Bob Dylan, Sooner and Later. Songs from all different times and phases of Bob Dylan's career. Everybody must get bobbed. Just long enough for me to take an Arizona swig. Thank you, Dave, for introducing that Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment. Well, as I mentioned earlier in the program, this segment is devoted to 2 different albums that came out on the same day. Not the same exact date, but they're both October 13th releases. The first one, major addition to the Bootleg series catalog. It was their Volume 4, the 1966 concert that everybody calls the Royal Albert Hall concert, but actually it was recorded in Manchester, England, back on May 25th of 1966. This is that one that changed rock and roll on some level forever. The one where he started acoustic, ended electric, and the guy says, Judas! And Dylan says, I don't believe you. You're a liar! Play it effing loud! And kicks into the final song like a Rolling Stone. That climaxes the Martin Scorsese documentary as well about Dylan. But yeah, that was the Royal Albert Hall concert, so it's called, with members of the band, or the Hawks, whatever you wanted to call them back then. Amazing stuff, especially the electric CD part of it. So we'll hear a song from that, and also, many years later, Dylan, for a charity, for a benefit, put out almost a novelty album. It's an album of, again, forgive me for my cold, but a Christmas record, something nobody ever thought Bob Dylan would do. And mostly traditional Christmas songs with one or two monkey wrenches thrown in, was released back on October 13th, 2009. So it's 5 years old now. The 34th studio album, done as a benefit for various food charities, Christmas in the Heart. So let's hear a couple of Bob Dylan songs on our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment. Let's get the Christmas one out of the way. If you ever wonder what Dylan's voice sounds like at its worst, well, here's your answer.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can plan on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on a tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. I'll be home for Christmas. You can plan on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my see you got your brand new Leopard skin pillbox. Hey,
Bob Dylan and the Hawks / the band, his backing band, there in 1966 in Manchester for what people call the Royal Albert Hall concert on May 25th of 1966, but released, finally, all those years later, as part of the bootleg collection on Columbia Records on October 13th, 1998. It was a 2-disc set of that concert, acoustic and electric, and the electric is just one of the great recorded concerts of all time. And that's one of the few lighter, happier moments in the concert, which just gets heavier and darker as it goes on until you've got Ballad of a Thin Man, and then that explodes into Like a Rolling Stone. Anyway, we heard that from Dylan, and then I'll be home factory. Could you hear that voice that he had singing Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat? Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat. Could you even entertain the thought? Could you even imagine 40 years ago that his voice would end up sounding like, I'll be home? Well, I guess if you saw how he chain smoked, you might, but still. Wow. Anyway, yes, that was from Christmas in the Heart, released 5 years ago on October 13th. Dylan's 34th studio album, just a benefit record, so he didn't really put that much soul into it. So there's novelties, there's kooky stuff, and then there's just real misfires. And then you got I'll Be Home for Christmas if he doesn't die walking up on the doorstep. Bob Dylan, sooner and later, here on Dave's Gone By. And speaking of things humorous and offbeat, it's time for our weekly Wretched Pun of Destiny. The Dave's Gone By Wretched Pun of Destiny. So the March of Dimes is having its annual fundraising push, and they come up with a contest where they get all these famous women in media to help raise money for the cause. The winner, who signs up the most pledges, gets to be that year's fundraising queen. She's flown to the annual meeting for a big ceremony, gets to wear a tiara, and even has a song written and sung about her. All these famous women in media compete. Oprah, Ellen, Kathy Lee Gifford, Tina Fey, Diane Sawyer, Katie Couric, and yet, surprisingly enough, the winner is Bloomberg financial anchor Jane King. So they fly her to the big ceremony, make speeches, she gets to wear the tiara, and, best of all, the one and only Bob Dylan is there to perform a song about her. What does he sing? Oh, the dimes, tiara, Jane King. We here at Dave's Gone By apologize for bringing you the Wretched Pun of Destiny.
Hi, I'm Dick Cavett. You may know me as a talk show host, sometime actor, and rarely state champion gymnast on the pommel horse in Nebraska. Anyway, I'm talking to Dave Lefkowitz, and the program is called Dave's Gone By, and we're on UNC Radio. U for uvula, N for Nelly, C for crap.
Exactly, which is what we shovel weekly on the program, yes.
Okay. I was warned that some Lefkowitz would be calling, and I assumed it wasn't the old...
It wasn't Louis, he's gone.
He was... Attorney General, what was he?
Yeah, Attorney General. No relation, unfortunately, but...
Yeah, I upset him once.
How did you upset Louis Lefkowitz? You didn't say something anti-Semitic, did you? No.
No, I was involved in a scandal at the time with... I had a very, let's say, questionable accountant, and I got into a thing with the Indian Museum. This is going back years. Where they had let me have some things in exchange for some money that they needed to buy something in their collection they didn't have. Anyway, Louis found out about it.
Yeah?
I wasn't the only one. But naturally, I was all over the New York Post.
Oh, well, naturally, yeah. This was the Museum of the American Indian or a different museum?
Yeah, back when it was way uptown. down.
Yeah.
And anyway, my joke was, they said, well, what's your final comment on this to Mr. Lefkowitz? And I said, I think it's a tempest in a teepee.
Oh, that's very good.
And it's a good joke, and I was told that he hit the ceiling when he heard it.
Oh well.
So that shows that a joke can have a desired effect.
Well, what's the corollary to that joke that Louis Lefkowitz then went to his psychiatrist and he said, Dick Cavett is just making me boiling mad. He keeps telling me about these two teepees, it's driving me crazy. And the psychiatrist says, now I know your problem. You're too tense.
Oh,
Thank you very
that's
much.
Wonderful. You should be a gag writer. Maybe you are.
In a manner of speaking, yeah. I make people gag with my writing.
Oh, wait a minute. There's an ancient joke, too old for you to remember. I think it was vaudeville.
Yeah?
A book I had. And A says, do you know what an Indian summer is? And B says, that's when the heat is intense.
Ho-ho! Yeah, I can make the intense. I just adapted it to Louis Lefkowitz.
You channeled into a very good joke and get full credit for it.
That's all. Yeah, come on. How many jokes are there's? There's 10 storylines in the whole world, and every screenplay is based on all of them.
But they claim.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever revealed what they are, but.
Oh, probably Robert McKee did at some point, but.
Somebody must have.
A literal broadcast legend, someone that anyone who is in this business or even on the fringes of this business admires, looks to the archives for, to see how this is done. How do you interview people? How do you hold a microphone for half an hour and I don't mean just physically in your hand, I mean hold the audience to you and keep you there with the way you phrase things, with the way you ask questions, with the wit and with the charm and the intelligence. No one really, and I would even include people like Steve Allen and David Letterman and the great Irv Kupcinet. Nobody does it or has done it like our guest in the neighborhood, Dick Cavett. For 30 years on various networks, he hosted his own talk and interview and variety show. He's also an actor. He has come from Yale Drama School. He was a writer for The Tonight Show, and most recently, of the many, many things that he does and has done, he is playing himself in a theatrical recreation of history. He was in a play a couple of seasons ago, off-Broadway, and now public television is doing a wonderful thing. They're broadcasting off-Broadway plays. And one of them was called Hellman versus McCarthy, all about a big literary feud that we'll talk about. It happened on television. It happened on Dick Cavett's show. And now, many years later, he was off Broadway recreating that as part of it. Very strange, very interesting, and again, very honored and thrilled to have Dick Cavett in the neighborhood. Welcome, Dick. How you doing?
Well, I'm disappointed. I couldn't wait to hear who it was you were introducing.
That's right. I thought it was going to be Benjamin Disraeli, but I got you instead. Oh well. I'm thrilled anyway.
Wait, can you hear a dog barking?
I certainly can now. Yes.
First dog you've had on your show? I'm not referring to certain guests that way.
What kind of dog do you have?
We don't know. He's an ARF dog. He's a rescued from a kennel in St. Louis somewhere that was going to kill all their dogs.
Oh.
And ARF rescued him, brought them here, and my dog Riley is the best of them all.
Oh, well, I believe in ARF for our sake, actually. I'm sorry, that was really...
Is it too late to get the rabbi?
Actually, it's not. If this really goes downhill, the rabbi is in the next room. So we have him there in abeyance.
Probably with an earphone waiting for his signal. The only error you made, and it's remarkable, is totally unserious in that, yes, I took courses in the Yale Drama School, but while I was an undergraduate. So I can't really say the way Paul Newman, Julie Harris, a lot of eminent people, that I graduated from the drama school. I just got to sit in on some classes there.
But the reason you didn't graduate there was because you were already in the business selling jokes? Was that, or why not?
It's just that I was in my third or fourth year in the undergraduate school, and they'd gotten a lot of complaints. Now, Yale obviously doesn't have acting classes, so they let students who were interested in that take courses in the grad school as part of their day.
Oh.
So I got to do that, and it was wonderful.
What did you get your degree in then, by the way?
Very old English major.
An English major, wow. Dare I tell you that I teach English right now, so that's kind of...
It's been a good tradition. Both of my parents were English teachers. In fact, 3 of them. My stepmother also was. So my life was always... they gave it to him and her. She and I went to the movie. And
oh, God.
She went to the movie, and I went to the movie, and me went to the movie, and, whatever. I was always being corrected that way.
We went with her, with he, she, yeah. Who's at the door? It is I. No, it's me. That sort of thing.
Well, the great Dwight McDonald said only a prig would insist that somebody say it is I when you knock at the door. So even that great language expert said it's me is okay for us Philistines or Steens.
Well, it's okay for us, not we Philistines, for us. But I go through this every day, and so did your parents. So they, I assume, conveyed a real love of language and literature in you?
Very much, yeah. I was read to a lot as a very small kid. And also I was one of those who precociously had been reading for 2 years when I went to kindergarten. So this led to an unfortunate trait in my personality.
Which is?
Told that when the other kids had to learn to read when I already knew how, and they did so poorly, I don't know how to tell you this.
Tell it, because I feel like I was doing the exact same thing. Go ahead.
Well, I am told that I sometimes held my ears when the other kids read.
Oh, my God. Did you get beaten?
I hope so. I certainly should have. On the spot.
Oh, I was bullied like crazy, and now I realize why.
Yeah.
So, hey, by the way, did you have a favorite book that your parents used to read to you? I'm just curious.
Yeah, Treasure Island.
Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Wow.
They had to read that to me every year, I think, for several years.
And what about in your somewhat late, in your teen years and 20s, like this, the college, school-age years? Did you have a book that just blew your mind?
Well, I had the usual love affair with Scott Fitzgerald and Gatsby.
Why do people love that book so much?
I don't know. I was thinking of reading it again to see if I can figure that out.
Yeah, I read it, okay. I think kids like it because it's relatively short for a novel and easier than Jane Austen, but I don't know.
It's good, and yet I couldn't tell you why. But next time we talk, maybe I will have...
That's a deal.
As people say about books they haven't even read in the first place.
Well, okay, how's about a book that you've read in the past 5 or 10 years that really blew your mind? Fiction or non?
Yeah. Right at the moment, I'm eager to get back, and don't take this personally,
okay,
to the page I was on when the phone rang.
Okay.
In John Lahr's tremendous Tennessee Williams biography.
Oh my God, I've read Lahr's stuff on was it Joe Orton, and he also wrote about Dame Edna. He has a very good biography.
Recently about Al Pacino, brilliantly.
Oh really? Oh wow. So he's been busy with that stuff. Yeah, John is a very brilliant critic for the New Yorker, and oh cool. I only know him tangentially, but if I see him, I'll tell him, Dick Cavett loves your book. Yay.
Yeah, I did. He knows that. I saw him the other night at the 92nd Street Y, and I told him that. I did quite a few shows with Tennessee, and he was a fabulous character. But there are so many things in this book, including what some will find as startling details of his private life.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Such as? I haven't read it. Uh-oh. Well, we're on college radio, you can say.
I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to reveal any endings, so to speak.
Did he really? I know you haven't gotten to the end of the book, but does he choke to death on a pen cap or bottle cap? Was that how he went?
He asked me that before I heard John on radio last week.
Uh-huh.
And he said yes. And that's the received story. And that's how it was reported in the New York Times and everywhere else. No, he killed himself with overdose. And somehow, someone fractured that or manipulated it into the thing you and I obviously both heard, that he either choked on the cap or the...
Yeah, because he was leaning back, he was just taking his regular dosage, and the bottle cap went into his throat, and that was it. But you're saying no.
Yeah, not true. And you're right, I haven't gotten to the end. And John said, when he answered a question from the audience that night, later he said, I could have answered that better because I wrote this 2 years ago. I can't remember all the details, but they're all laid out. It's the surprise, I guess, at the end of the book.
Well, I'm sorry I was kind of spoiled. Well, he spoiled it for you before I did.
Don't let that keep you from reading it.
Yeah, it's kind of, speaking of books we read when we were younger, I'm sure you had to read... well, no, actually, it was maybe after your time, but A Separate Piece by John Knowles, and that thing that you would do when you were a senior and you knew that juniors were going to be reading that book, and 20 pages before the end, kids would write at the top of the page, Finney dies, which is kind of the lead character there, just to spoil it for people who don't realize that the main character is going to die in 20 pages.
Or the maid did it on a Ruth Rendell mystery.
Yeah, exactly. Now, speaking of reading and books and stuff like that, if you had to read books, and I'm sure you've read both of them, whom did you prefer? Did you like the plays of Lillian Hellman or the books of Mary McCarthy?
Well, I like both in their separate ways. I like Mary's pieces and her things like her Paris Review interview and essays, also fiction, Memories of Catholic Girlhood, and the other stuff. I mean, that one was not fiction, of course, but her writing in almost every field was, to me, lovely to read. I first didn't meet her, but heard her lecture when I was at Yale, and she was wonderful.
You're still talking about Hellman or McCarthy now?
Sorry, all up to this point I've been talking about McCarthy.
McCarthy, okay, got it.
There's a fabulous essay. I think maybe I worked this into the play one night earlier this year, while in the scene with in the scene where Mary and Cavett are on the air together, and it just occurred to me, and I just threw it into the play, that she was writing about some of the dreadful teaching in the school she was teaching in at the time.
Uh-huh.
She had an English major girl say to her at the end of some meeting, I have to go now. I'm meeting Professor Lefkowitz, and we are going to take my short story, and he is going to help me put the symbols in it.
Okay. I mean, I kind of understand what that's meaning.
It is to make up symbols and put them...
Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be musical instruments, because that would be a very noisy essay. But I'm bummed. Cymbal crash on that joke. What about Lillian Hellman, her plays?
I always enjoyed Hellman's books, and because she was a very, very good storyteller, bogus as hell, at least half the time. But I didn't know that at the time, so I could innocently think that there was a Julia, and that Hellman did take money in her hat into dangerous area, and do all his heroic things she does in the book Julia, which turns out to be a total fabrication.
Now, let me ask you right then and there, how much does that matter? I mean, is Julia called an autobiography?
Not at all, and it was silly of the old bag not to call it that, because it reads well, and she decided, but she couldn't resist making herself the heroine. I mean, she could have published it as a novel, I mean.
Exactly, that's what I'm... So do we run into the issue of, say, that book from a few years back, 3 Cups of Tea, if you've heard about that guy who was going to these, I guess, Afghanistan and these countries that despise us and helping them. Did you read are you familiar with that book?
I remember the sort of scandal about it, but not the details.
Well, yeah, he was going over there trying to build schools, and schools for girls in these heavily dark, hateful Islamic countries, and going through imprisonment and trying to bring a little bit of Western light into these darkened cultures, and he apparently lied about tons of details.
Yeah, he wrote some of it probably in the Dixie Hotel in New York or something.
Right. So, how much of a problem should we have with that if it's a good book?
Say that again?
Oh, I'm sorry. If it's a good book, comma, how much of a problem should we have with that kind of...
Well, you should have the exact problem of, is it true or not?
Okay, so that is a huge deal.
Certainly enjoy it, not knowing. I'm sure there are people who lived and died and read Julia, didn't know what a bald-faced liar Lillian Hellman was, particularly about her not still being a member of the Communist Party for the rest of her life, and probably enjoyed it just fine. But it's a sick thing to do. It's a deception, and
okay,
could be done.
Now, let me ask: when Lillian Hellman and Mary McCarthy went on your show, did you have any idea of what was brewing before the kettle boiled over?
First of all, they were never on the show together, though some people maybe they were. No, they were both on the show at separate times, and Lillian had been on a couple times and been a very good guest, and we were quite cordial, and I even had dinner at her house one night. It found it a little odd that she had the book critic of the New York Times over for dinner.
Okay.
Who can blame her? But it was simply me and Mary. Notes had said she might like to take a moment, if you will, do it, to praise a young writer she has discovered, who she feels is very good but underpraised. So I thought of that in the middle of the show, and I threw a cue where she could praise this young writer who was underpraised, and she didn't catch it. And so I thought, was that in my notes? And I threw it again, and she didn't. And so it just sort of in transition, in a throwaway way, I said, maybe we could talk about some overpraised writers, and expected to move right on to the next subject when she said...
everything that Mary McCarthy
Lillian Hellman as...
Lillian Hellman, sorry, yeah.
As the overpraised writer, and said her immortal quote, and this is how she pronounced it: she's such a dishonest writer that even her ands and thes are lies. I may be wrong. She may have said these, but it sounds better to say thus.
Because these could be another word, yeah.
The word and the word the are lies was the joke. And significantly ahead of that, she had said, as I said in an interview once, as it happened, the very same thing. Well, I learned from the legal eagle of mine when Lillian sued everybody in sight, including me, that I said, but wait a minute, this has already been out there. It was in a Paris literary magazine or something. And that's when I learned that the printed word doesn't defend you at all. In other words, he said, look, that doesn't help. Nobody reads.
Even back then, I mean, compared to now, let alone, even then the video was taking over and people are out there.
Obviously that means that if she'd said it on my show before or somebody else's, you couldn't now sue her for it.
But what charge did she sue the show? I mean, I can understand suing Mary McCarthy for slander or libel.
I don't know, augmenting something that destroyed her reputation, that slandered her, that held her up to ridicule in front of her friends. All these things are in the play.
Now, after that happened, and I haven't seen the play, but did Lillian Hellman go back on your show?
No, she didn't.
So that was sort of she never she never responded, she just sued.
I never saw her again. No, she did kind of respond in that she called me the next day.
Yeah.
And said, and this is almost an exact interpretation of her pleasant telephone tone, why didn't you defend me?
Oh.
And I said, as is in the play, Lillian, I never think of you as anyone who needs defending. You do a pretty good job yourself with the gist of that. But she went on,
and did you know at that point, though, that Mary McCarthy had a very serious point? Did you know then that Lillian Hellman was making up whole cloth of Julia and some other stuff?
Well, a lot of that had been exposed before, not only of Julia, but I think it was Martha Gellhorn, once known as Mrs. Ernest Hemingway number 2, was it? Who did real hard research on the Julia thing and found that this place didn't exist and that the train schedules couldn't have taken her where she went then, and just, one after the other.
Yeah. So that was out there already.
Plot destroy. Yeah, the question was there already. And her veracity had been questioned quite frequently.
Did you ever, or when the lawsuit started flying, I assume you could not mention, did you ever say anything about it on the air? Or did the lawyers for the TV stations just say, don't mention it, shut up, whatever?
No, nobody said anything to me legally at my home there on the PBS show, except the night of the show, and this gets a laugh in the play, where I went off stage, and the first person I saw was the PBS lawyer, whose job it is to be sure that nothing bad goes out over the air, and so on and so on. And he looked at me, and he said, nice show.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm not giving you the laugh that you get in the theater.
No, you can't laugh for millions. But she, obviously it was a joke, the idea that you would sue over this.
Well, she would sue you, certainly, and sue the network. Suing McCarthy may be something else. I mean, damaging a reputation as a writer, etc.
The motive there was sinister, as so many of hers were, which was because Lillian was sitting on a mountain of wealth, not only from her vast earnings from her plays, but also, and her books, but money she had inherited from Dashiell Hammett,
right,
whom she would have us think she lived with and was the indispensable item in his life for years and years and years, about which I asked Gore Vidal once, and he said, it's funny, nobody ever saw them together.
Hey, that's an ideal relationship in some circles.
Yeah.
But so now in the writing of this play, which by the way was performed by the Abingdon Theater Company about a season or so ago, that is going to be broadcast this weekend.
I think it's a year yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I don't think it's a year ago yet.
Oh, sorry, it's fairly recent, just a few months old.
Yeah.
That the off-Broadway and, well, even off-Broadway, Abingdon Company did, and was filmed at the time for PBS. They're broadcasting it this weekend on both 13 in New York, WLIW on Long Island, and also you can, for our Colorado listeners, you can get it on the website. Sorry?
You have me at an odd moment, because I only learned today, somewhat to my chagrin, that it isn't on the network in the usual way. It is on WNET here, for all the lucky people in this area. Then I saw it's on WLIW on another night. It's on 3 nights coming up here. 3 nights all. It will have been on 3 nights here.
But it's not syndicated. It's not on all PBS, which I found a disappointment. When I was looking at this series, it's not just one play, but...
people, they can see it, who can't.
Yeah, well, but that's the point. You can. I wanted to make sure...
Yeah, make that point.
Because they did London Wall from the Mint Theater last week, and then they've got Richard Nelson's 3-play cycle coming up later in the season. So I want to make clear that you can go online, and I forget what the exact URL is, and watch the entire play once it's aired. It will be there, so you can watch it from your telephone, from your iPhone. Yeah.
Sorry? You do that by typing the title and then what in Googling?
Yeah, Google PBS or 13, the name of the play, Hellman v. McCarthy.
Yeah.
And hopefully, it will come up and you'll be able to watch literally the entire 2-hour show, or however long it runs. So anybody listening to this show...
No, and if you have trouble finding that, you could call WNET and say, how do I see it again?
Dick Cavett here on Dave's Gone By, the one and only Dick Cavett. We actually have more to talk about. I mean, we could keep Dick Cavett in the chair talking with him for hours and hours on end. and then come back a week later and still have more and more hours. The life that this guy has led, the wit of the man, and also the experiences and the people that he has talked to over the years on his many talk shows on the networks and elsewhere as well. So, yeah, we are going to be talking more to Dick Cavett next week. We'll have part 2 of our conversation with him here on Dave's Gone By. But unfortunately, because, again, I have to run out and see friends at a tailgating thing for the football game here at the university, got to cut this show rather short and be out of here by 11:30. So it just gives you a reason to tune back in next Saturday to hear more of me with Dick Cavett, and we will have another special guest as well. It probably will be Ian Finkel, who was mentioned earlier when Rabbi Saul was talking to Vicky Kuperman. But yeah, Ian Finkel, the son of Fivish Finkel, and a xylophonist and a novelist. If he's not coming up this coming week, it'll be in 2 or 3 weeks from now. But that looks to be what will be on the show next Saturday from 9 until noon, our full 3 hours and then some, here on UNCRadio.com. I certainly want to thank the folks who helped me get this episode up and running. Those include Matthew Davis, who made sure that the equipment was back up to snuff for this show, because we've had all sorts of renovation. The renovations are still going on in the radio station, by the way. Initially, somebody, it was probably a misstatement, said that their main work would have been done by the end of May. It's going to take a full 6 months, and at best, for everything to be done here. They're saying now at the end of October, we'll see. But there has been work proceeding, and certainly Matthew, who is with the radio station, Matthew Davis, has made sure that the equipment, at least, it's plugged in, it's working, the mic cables are okay, we're broadcasting properly, and being able to do what we do here every Saturday on Dave's Gone By. So thank him for that. Thanks to my darling wife, Joyce. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us for the first part of the show, as she sometimes does, because one of our dogs is still getting over some serious dental surgery, and he has to be watched and watched and watched and watched. Thank you to Rabbi Saul Solomon for being in here doing the Vicky Kuperman interview. ShalomDammit.com is his website. Vicky Kuperman, Kuperman. There's only one P in there. Vicky Kuperman. Check her out on the web. Funny clips on YouTube. Her album is being recorded as we speak, so look for it fairly shortly. I guess it's, I don't know if it comes out as an actual CD or if it's just an iTunes MP3 thing, in which case it could be out already. But do look for it, and look for her, Vicky Kuperman, and certainly try and see her live in the New York tri-state area. And thank you, doubly thank you to Leslie Bernstein of Public Television in New York, who was instrumental and who just threw the idea out there. Hey, would you like to interview Dick Cavett because he's in this play? And I was like, oh, yes, I certainly would. She made it happen. She made it happen quickly. And as you've heard, part 1 of, anyway, happened beautifully. And a zillion thank yous to Dick Cavett for being such a great interviewee. As great an interviewer and host as he was, boy, you can certainly see that he's about as good a guest as you can ever ask for. So thank you to Dick Cavett. And check your listings and check the websites for 13, not the number 13, just THIRTEEN, or WLIW 21. So if you're not in the tri-state area and you want to see Hellman v. McCarthy on TV or on your computer, you should be able to. Fingers crossed. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Well, I will be speaking more in turn next week with a more full episode of Dave's Gone By, the return of Dick Cavett, another special guest. We'll have another Wretched Pun of Destiny, more Bob Dylan to play for you, more Saturday Segues. We'll bring back our Inside Broadway segment. Much to do. But before then, gotta wrap up this episode, our 480th. It was called KUP'S Show, which actually had more of a pun to it than I even could have imagined, because initially it was just, for Vicky Kuperman, KUP'S Show. And people who live in Chicago know that it was syndicated to New York, but it was really a Chicago presence There was a talk show host named Irv Kup'S, and he was on for years and years and years, and he streamed also in New York. Well, this was before streaming. You would just find him on, like, public TV, and never obviously had the wide range or the notoriety of other talk show people, like Tavis Smiley and Charlie Rose. But for Chicago people, they know him. And if you are of a certain mind bent like me and went far afield for your TV watching when you were younger, you would come across Irv Kup'S. He's sort of a Joe Franklin-y figure, only more serious. And I even brought him up with Dick Cavett. So I called this Kups show even before we knew that Dick Cavett, another legendary talk show host, would be on the program. Just one of those coincidental things. But you can hear this episode of the show in about 24 to 48 hours. We will post it, the archive, on davesgoneby.com, along with all our other archives, absolutely free. You can download them to your iPod, you can stream them, they're MP3 files, or if you're worried about downloading from a website, just click and stream right on our server on our website. The first episode we ever did, the last episode we've done, and nearly every single one in between. There have been 480 of them now. So I hope to see you again on the 481st next Saturday. Before then, let's go out. We mentioned we lost a couple of people this past week. We mentioned that Marion Seldes, the great Broadway and off-Broadway actress, died. You might know her. You've seen her on TV. I just saw her in one of those Agatha Christie things, and she was in Death Trap for 5 years. That put her in the Guinness Book of World Records. We also lost Jang Hook, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it's Hook or Hooks, but we've lost another Saturday Night Live cast member. Always feels weird when that happens, because the show feels young and energetic, and, well, it is an improv-y, but sketch type show with new casts evolving all the time. So you kind of forget that it began in 1976. It'll be coming up on its 40th anniversary at some point. So people are going to die. Not just John Belushi and Gilda Radner and Charlie Rocket and a couple of the fat guys. But now we've lost, I think she was 57 years old, Jang Hook, from a few seasons back. That's kind of a shame. And the other person whom we lost this week, was Paul Revere. Yes, not making any more midnight rides. Paul Revere, whose original name, no jokes please, was Paul Revere Dick. Born in Nebraska in 1938, he died this Saturday. And when I say Paul Revere, I'm talking about the guy from Paul Revere and the Raiders. Well, when he was in his 20s, he owned a chain of burger joints, and he met a singer there, a guy named Mark Lindsay, and they teamed up, started doing music together. Revere became a conscientious objector. I didn't realize that, but he's known, of course, for the songs, also the spectacle of the band. He was one of those people. It's sort of, I was just listening back to an interview that Gene Simmons of KISS did with Glenn Jones of WFMU Radio out in New Jersey. This is when Jonesy was doing his marathon of trying to stay up for 100 hours on the air. And Gene Simmons called in from KISS, and they're very smart, intelligent man. And they were talking, and Gene Simmons says the whole thing about KISS was when he grew up, he loved the records, he loved the rock and roll music, he'd play them. And then he'd go to concerts and try to see these bands, and the bands would just stand there. The singer would sing in the mic, the guitarist would play the guitar, the drummer would hit the drums, they might wear some interesting clothing or not, and that was it. It was such a disappointment. He didn't need to go to a concert to see that. So KISS became about the show, the dazzle, the fireworks, the makeup, the costumes, the characters. That's what it was all about. It was giving the audience a show. And Paul Revere and the Raiders were doing that before. When KISS was in their cribs, Paul Revere and his gang were doing sight gags on stage, prop comedy, big Indian chief costumes, just having fun with rock and roll, which I think is really kind of cool. They did garage rock, then of course they were also influenced by the Beatles during the British invasion. Their hits included songs like Kicks and I'm Not Your Stepping Stone, which we know the Monkees more for covering. It was a Boyce Hart tune, but the Paul Revere and the Raiders did that too. Anyway, Paul Revere retired from the band back in late July. He just said, well, under doctor's orders, not being terribly specific, I should beg off now. I want to give my best and my all when I'm on stage, and I can't really do that anymore. But hey, the band continues. God bless them. Go see them. And I'm just going to start my retirement. Well, less than 2 months later, he died peacefully in his home on Saturday. He was born in 1938, so he lived, he wasn't an old man, but he lived quite a few years and he made some good music. So let's go out with Paul Revere and the Raiders with the appropriately titled song, Gone Moving On, and, as I always add, Gone By.
When the lights were low in the room last night, you were looking good in your skirt so tight. You were tempting me with your painted smile. My imagination was running wild, and you can look every place, but you won't see my face. Search everywhere, but you won't find me there. I'll be gone. I'm moving on. I'll be gone. From now on. I was wrapped around your little finger then. Now I'm thinking straight. I'm on my feet again. You've been having fun. It was all your show. It was easy come, but now it's easy go. And you can look every place, but you won't see my face. Search everywhere, but you won't find me there. I'll be gone. I'm moving on. I'll be gone. From now on. I thought you were a different girl, but you're just the same. I can't stay here wasting my time playing your game. I gotta be gone, gone, gone.